Hello, this is Orlando at Informed Decisions. Thank you for participating in today. This is some functionality that we're going to be showing to you today, in which we are going to extract some data from our QR code and an incoming document that's coming in. And we're going to use our capture dot piece for this. So here we have a QR code which contains some information like the invoice number, invoice date, the terms, and customer number. And we're going to use our capture technology to extract that data from this QR code and separate that into separate index fields to share with our iView document center for later processing. Additionally, we're going to extract the balance due amount or total invoice amount due from the bottom section using our Smart Zone technology on the capture piece as well. And we're going to show that to you today in our quick demonstration here. And as you can see in our QR code, we actually have some data which I'm showing here. We have two documents which we'll use. And this is the data that's represented in that QR code. When we look at the actual configuration for this in our document, we are actually using document separators, and we're going to actually tell our system that this is we just gave it a name. This is our hops invoice document as a name. We're going to separate this using our barcode at the bottom of the page as a indicator as to when this page should change. So in our case, this bottom barcode here that we have is going to have the invoice number, and anytime that invoice number changes, we're going to indicate that as being a different document. Again, a document could be between 1 and 2 pages or 1 and many pages. So in this case, it will separate when that invoice number changes. So we're going to use this rule here to separate our document. And in this case, I am telling it that separate when barcode changes. We've created a defined zone or an area to look for that specific barcode. And that's going to be down here at the bottom of the page. So we'll save this as we've done that work already. And we've also told that this is going to be a variable length document. So this could be anywhere between 1 and multiple pages. Additionally, in this setup, we've actually told it as well that we are going to, in our workflow process, that we're going to identify this document as that hops invoice by coming into our classification configuration and looking at the setup in which we give it a zone to look for specific data to identify this as the document. We use regular expressions to identify the text that we want to be valid when identifying this invoice as a hops invoice, and we've told it that the record type for this will be the hops invoice. It's a way to identify the document specifically. In our case, we've actually selected the build rule. We've selected, let's just do this. Let's just delete the rule we have there now. Let's just do it from scratch. We'll just add this so you see this in action. We're going to build this rule. It's going to OCR the whole document and process through. We're going to tell it what data we want this to use. In our case, we're going to use the name Informed Decisions at the bottom of the page, and it's going to create the regular expression rule by itself. However, I did notice that there was an extra comma at the end of this rule, and I said, I don't necessarily want that. I just want the name itself. And you'll see kind of, if you know regular expressions, this is the rule that will create that rule for you. You can also you can generate a regular expression using additional options that we have here, and that's for a more detailed class that we can, in training, that we can do later on. But for now, it's just a simple way of saying, hey, this is the area we're going to look for. And I'm going to expand my zone. So when scanning in this page, that page could move around or change sizes, or just generally just have that text move around. So I'm going to select a bigger zone to search for this. I'm going to test this out to make sure this rule is valid and true. So I hit my little inspection or tester here, and it does come out true. So now when this document processes through and this rule becomes true or valid, it will classify this document as the hops invoice. So I'm going to save our changes. And I'm going to save our changes. And now to the specific point of what we're doing today, we have created several index fields, and we have them on our left here. In our case here specifically, 4 of these fields are going to be populated by the barcode information from that QR code. In this case, the invoice date, number, terms, and customer number. We've selected our barcode tabs, and in this case, we are telling it that it is one barcode, so we're going to map the field. We're going to use this map field barcode, and we're only doing one. We can actually use multiple of different barcodes. In this case, we're just using one, and the barcode is in the document. We are telling it what type of barcode it is. In this case, it is a QR code. We do have different options that we can use, and we can, and depending on the barcode that we are extracting, if this was like a 3 of 9 barcode example, and we only had one piece of information, then we can maybe populate this with the entire barcode data. However, as this QR code contains multiple values for our different map fields, we are going to say, as I've put this in a notepad here, we are going to tell it specifically where that data is and what positioning is in the columns. So for my invoice date, as you see, this is the field that we are mapping, and we're going to scan that QR code for that information. You'll notice that our information is down here. So if I actually look at this down here, I'm going to pick up my information actually for this piece right here, and I'm doing this from position 30 or column 39 to column 49, and that's going to grab the data information. For my invoice number, I'm going to do similarly. However, in this case, I'm going to grab the information down here starting on 23 and going forward. So you actually have different pieces of information that we can get from this one QR code. So as you can see here, if I scroll through the different ones, for the invoice number, I'm grabbing from position 13 to 23, the terms 59 to 69, and the customer number from 87 to 93. This is information that's actually been scanned from that one single barcode, QR code, should I say, that's on that page. And this is how we're going to give it the rules to extract that data from that single barcode to multiple different fields in our extraction process. Now, additionally, I do have one bit of some more information to extract. I'm going to extract the invoice total. In this case, I don't have a barcode for this. I'm going to actually create a zone for this, and I'm going to define that zone in our setup. I've already done this, so I'm just going to select the profile that we have set for this. And in our case, we are going to trigger this by the record type. And remember, in our classification process, we've named this the hops invoice. So when it does see the hops invoice document in our classification process, we will take and trigger this profile to actually process through. Since we're only doing one field in this case, the invoice total section, we are going to have one zone. And we have different ways of doing this, different process, different zones. We can do a simple zone and apply some regular expressions to extract the data from that zone that we are going to extract or look at. In this case, we're going to use something called a smart zone. And a smart zone is a zone in which we are going to identify an anchor or a text to anchor, and then we're going to use a child zone to use to extract the data from. Let me show you what I mean by that. In this case, if I actually click on our zone twice here, and I actually look at the setup here, we'll actually see a regular expression that is set up. And in this case, this regular expression, well, let me change this view here a little. This regular expression is going to anchor on the word balance. And then we actually have a child set up here that is our child zone, which is going to extract the data from. Let me delete this information here and show you how that works. As I'm deleting the information. So I've actually deleted the information. I am going to add an anchor. I'm going to OCR the whole document, or in this case specifically that zone which we've set up for. I'm going to highlight the word balance, click on it, and now I have a regular expression that has been set up for the word balance. I'm going to confirm that this is going to work for us, and it does by hitting locate anchors, and you notice that the word balance has been highlighted and is, in this case, in an anchor. I'm going to add an additional zone, which is the chow zone, and we have our red box that appears. And I'm going to highlight this or make this a little bigger so everyone can see this. That's our anchor for balance, and our red zone is the area in which we're going to use to extract the data. As I move this around and square this off a little to give it a better area to extract the data from, I can adjust this by grabbing corners and moving it around. I'm going to test this by actually selecting our zone preview. And in this case, it's going to OCR the process. I have ICR and also micro extraction options available. In this case, we're grabbing our data, and as you see here is what we get. We're going to hit OK. We're going to save our zone. And normally we'd actually populate this with the name that we want to call it. And you can have multiple zones as well for this profile. In this case, we're only doing one. So we're going to save our zone. And in this case, we're going to extract 4 bits of information from our QR code and 1 from a zone that we've specifically defined. So I'm going to save everything. I'm actually going to run this through so you see this. As it scans through, I'm going to select our import and capture option. This is something that normally a engine would do in monitoring a folder or an even email address for this. We're just going to do it manually so you can actually see it in play. So we're going to, here's our document, which has 2 pages, which is 2 different invoices. We're going to start the capture process. This will create a batch in which we'll scan both documents into the process. And you'll see 2 pages that were separated based on our different barcodes for the different invoice numbers separated on that information. And right out of the gate, you'll notice that it populated for the different fields for data. And that data was because it scanned that barcode, the QR code, and already populated that information in there. We still need to populate the invoice total information. So I'm going to hit close batch, and this is going to proceed next with our classification step in our workflow. This classification step is identifying the type of document this is, and followed by the indexing step. The indexing step will actually process the indexing followed or found in the actual capture profile that we've set up for this HOPS invoice document. And this is all happening right now as we go through. And it's identified the document, is processing through the index steps and rules that we've assigned to this document. And as it's going through, we're going to end up at the quality assurance step to show you the data that we've been able to extract. And this is coming up here to our quality assurance step as it's processing through. And here we are at the quality assurance steps. And as you can see, we've actually identified the type of record it is. This is the HOPS invoice. We see our date, our invoice number, our terms, and our customer number, which we extracted from the barcode, in this case, the QR barcode specifically. And then, of course, at the end, we have our invoice total, which we extracted using our smart zone, and which we tied into the actual document type, and which is our, in the classification step, which is our HOPS invoice document. From here, we can actually migrate this data up to our IBMI or SharePoint or M files or any other document management or content management area that we want to extract our data into, including our document. This can go right into an accounting system as well. And we can move that on to the migration step and extract that up there. For our purposes today, just mainly wanted to show you how to extract data from a QR code or any other barcode as well, and also from a smart zone and using our example. And for more information, please contact us at 949-709-5838 or visit our website at www.informeddecisions.com. Thank you for viewing this video. My name is Orlando Ferrer at Informed Decisions, and please keep an eye out for more helpful videos.